Picking up where we left off, finishing off that ant fight pretty easily, we end up exploring the moorlands a little bit more, and there was a chest in one of the earlier caves that we end up finding by jumping down here, which is awesome. Get a new recipe, and continuing on, we end up seeing a new person. Pretty cool looking cinematic, but the team decided that we should go and speak to her, so we end up doing that. She ends up telling Garl that these are old ruins that she's investigating, and lets us know that she's a traveling historian, and that her name is actually Teeks. She then turns her attention to Zale and Valir and investigates them quite thoroughly, realizing that they actually are Solstice warriors, which is kind of cool. She knows her stuff. She's obviously super excited to meet us, and you get a little bit of her character here and how she is, which is kind of cool. I like the personality they've added to the character. Teeks and Garl then have a little conversation, and they kind of agree to all camp together for the night so they can have a discussion about how to move forward. So after we all eat, Teeks explains that there's these lore grimoires, which are special books that need to be completed by traveling historians, and she asks us to help us by finding some artifacts. She says she has one already, and she has one story that she's going to read to us now. The story is called The Vespertine, which is about a ghost ship, and it's super long, so we skip it unfortunately, but after resting up for the night anyway, after the story and some food, we go ahead and continue our adventure with Teeks by our side. So Teeks ends up letting us know when we can find a boat. She asks to stick around since we're going to the same place, and on we go. So pretty cool. I don't think Teeks actually brings any battle skills, but we do encounter our first group of enemies where we can show Teeks our moves, I guess. Start with the Moonrang, of course, does some really good damage and takes out the ant straight away, followed by a Sunball, going really aggressive with the skills here, and then we use Garl to clean up. Pretty easy fight without taking any damage. This actually unlocks this pillar as well, so we can use that to change time, I guess. We end up changing it to nighttime for no particular reason, but nighttime is cool. If anyone's like me, I have my settings in dark mode for my browser and stuff, so I guess I did the same here. But we go ahead and continue to explore a little bit. We don't end up finding too much, but I come back to this light stone and I see these 3 different things light up, and looking at this now, if I lit them all up at the same time, it could have revealed something, but I guess that's something we can keep in mind for the future. So we find ourselves back onto the world map with a cool looking red dragon at the bottom, but Stonemason's Outpost, which looks to be our first real town. Looks like the entire town is in chaos. That Elder is missing, and someone called Malkmud is gonna take them down. So they give us a bit more information on the situation and let us know the elevator is also not working, but we investigate, ask where the entrance is, and we say that we're gonna help them out, which is kind of cool, and our first job as Solstice warriors, I guess. They're all super excited that we're going to help them. Teeks goes on her merry way and explores the town, and then we do what we do best, I guess. We do start out though by investigating the town, having a look around, seeing what it has to offer for us before we go on our first kind of dungeon. So immediately we go into this hut, and there's this guy here whose switch is stuck, unfortunately, so he can't get to the back room, and there's a couple of chests there, so it seems like a little puzzle within the town. I quickly head north from where we were, and I noticed this little hole in the ground, and I've seen before when we jump from a higher place we can go ahead and break it, so let's go ahead and do that straight away. This of course leads directly to the chest where we find a teal amber ore and a shiny pearl, which I guess we can sell for some money, which is awesome. He also makes a little joke about his chests being okay, but we already gone ahead and took everything we could, so sorry about that, buddy, but you know, you're welcome. We ended up finding an inn which we rested in, but I skipped that out for now. Heading into this room here, there was a chest where we found an item. It's called an ancient Molkin cloak or something like that, or oak, which could be useful later, but not too much goes on. We'll just head over to the dungeon. Alright, so off we go, and to start this thing off, we got to jump down this massive hole where we bump into someone? The Elder. Interesting. So he ends up telling us he's stuck down here and that he needs help, and no surprises there, but let's go ahead and look for this evil wizard. We end up finding a shop nearby, which is pretty cool. We upgrade Garl's armor and upgrade the weapons for Valir and Zale each, which is kind of cool, and continue on our journey. Quickly notice these green pillars that are lying around here, and looks like we can need to move it along the trail, but we can't actually push it just yet. We end up going back to kind of where we started and using this ladder to go up to find a different path in the end, and encounter this fight where we have a new type of enemy called the drill bat. They seem quite weak to auto attack. You see this as vulnerable there, and they got this triple hit attack that we need to get used to and block for sure. But other than that, they're not too difficult, I don't think. One Moonerang into a couple of hits and a combo finishes off these guys pretty easy without too much hassle. Nice, we end up finding a little chest here on the left with some eggs, which is interesting. There's a small little puzzle here where you have to jump on this platform and move this ledge across to ensure that we can get to the next area, but it's pretty simple. Cave looks very green, which is interesting. I'm not sure how this relates, but it might be useful later on. We end up discovering this chest that contains green leaf accessory, which increases your HP by 15, and we equip that on Valir, make it nice and tanky. We then encounter these enemies here, but pretty simple fight, so we'll just leave this one out for now. But yeah, go and get this chest on top of here, I think. But just before that, we find some dairy over here in the chest, which is kind of nice, and enter this room here. There's a chest in the center, but we can't actually access it just yet, so we have to note that down and come back for it later. But we go back for this chest that we remembered earlier, get a teal amber ore, and we need to make sure we sell all these things that we're getting. Actually be pretty handy. I noticed there isn't that many enemies in comparison to like the previous dungeon until we get to this fight, which looks interesting with this new star enemy that's in the wall. Go ahead and heal up straight away because we forgot to do that between fights. We start off with a terrible Moonerang, unfortunately, and I'm trying to prevent them from using their skills, I guess, but we don't really do a good job of it this time. We take a bunch of damage and we end up using a mushroom soup. I think we cooked this earlier or we found it, but it heals the party by 40, which is really nice for us, and I think we needed that. We take a little bit of AoE damage and we start focusing the drill bat on the left, but it's kind of a bad strategy because we're not really preventing them from charging their skills, so I think we're taking a little bit more damage than we want. We use the combo here on the drill bat on the left, but again it does so much damage and the drill bat on the left could have just taken one simple hit, so we need to improve on that in the future. Because of that, we're kind of critical HP with Zale, and we use a tiny heal on him with Garl. This guy does his AoE attack again and leaves us really low. We ended up using Sunball to try and do as much damage as we can. We don't really have that much MP for healing at the moment, which is not so good. Everyone is super critical now. One AoE attack would just KO us all, which actually happens here. The teal drop comes in, 2 of our party members go down, and it's down to Valir to take out the bat. Now it's just a 1v1 for the meantime, and we've got Moonerang ready to go, so let's go ahead and use that. Hitting a pretty decent Moonerang when it matters most, and the party members come back in time, which is kind of nice, and we managed to take him out pretty easily. So a little bit rough, but pretty good in the end. After taking out that big enemy, it looks like there's a wind current going through the tunnel, so we follow it around. You can see the characters just kind of taking a little journey through the tunnel there, and it activates this shrine like thing, I guess, which starts spinning, which is awesome. So this actually activates the power and allows the Elder to return back to his town safely. We end up looking around for a bit, but nothing really changes and the pillar doesn't move yet, so there's a sign that says no jumping, so of course we're going to jump down, and this unlocks a new area which is perfect for us to continue into the dungeon. Also finding another rainbow conch, not sure what it does yet, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. Time to tackle these drill bats. We're also full HP and MP because we rested in between, which is nice, but we start off with a Moonerang. Here I should have realized that the ant has 2 hammer signs, so we could have just hit him twice and cancel this spell. And this actually affects us pretty big because this ant summons more ants, which I never realized it could do. So now we're in a terrible spot. We need to be able to take out one of these drill bats. There we go, and then deal with these extra ants now. Fortunately, we have a charged up Stumble, which actually takes out 2 of the ants pretty easily, and it puts us in a much better spot again. Using some charged auto attacks and regular auto attacks on the last 2 enemies takes them out and ends the fight without too much trouble. We also did some healing after the fight, which is pretty important, I think. So I end up exploring this room a little bit more, but there's not really much we can do for the meantime. There is just this tightrope that we can use to go to the outside, which we end up doing. These green pillars still seem to be lying around, but we can't really move them or anything. And I can see it's super windy outside as well. Reminds me a little bit of the Golden Sun 2, The Lost Age. There's like a wind section that's kind of similar. But yeah, we keep going and ducking in and out of rooms in the meantime. We ended up scaling the wall a couple of times and finding a nice campfire, which is awesome, so we can go ahead and replenish all of our HP and MP. We end up noticing this cave on the right, which we can go down, and there's actually a really big chest here, which I thought was a mimic, but there's actually a bracelet inside, which allows us to release bursts of wind, so we can manipulate the pillars now, which is awesome. For anyone who doesn't know, mimics are kind of like fake chests where you think there's something in it, but it's actually just a giant enemy. But yeah, we can actually use the little bracelet now to push the pillars, which I don't use here. It takes me a while to figure out, but nice. Managed to push this one all the way to the end, but discovered this weird noise. What is this? So now we're getting a wild mini boss just out of nowhere, and we start off with hitting him by Gale to get the 2 hammer signs kind of deactivated. Then we use Moonerang to get the 3rd one off there, but one thing I didn't realize is that you can actually charge up with the basic attack and it will do that element of the Solstice Warrior. So like if I charge up with Villiers auto attack, we would have got the moon sign and the last hammer sign, but really nice Moonerang from here, from us here anyway. Hits us with this weird attack where he actually eats Zale, shoots him out of Villiers. We get the timing for the dodge or the block even, which is pretty nice. We end up hitting the boss with a few more basic attacks, but he goes ahead and charges up with this eat move again and shoots at Villiers once more, so she's looking kind of low at the moment. We need to make sure we cancel that skill if possible, but we'll go ahead and heal up a little bit here. Nice, all topped up. We'll go ahead and charge up 3 of the orbs with Villiers, use a Moonerang. This can do big damage. Best Moonerang for a while. Really nice stuff. 123 damage, and we could have kept it going as well, but obviously it died in the time we were doing the Moonerang. It then flees, but we got to look out for it for sure. So nice stuff from the team. We then have a little puzzle here where we got to make sure we push the pillar in the right direction to slot into where it needs to go, but not too difficult, pretty simple. This then allows us to actually backtrack, which is awesome, and that pillar from earlier that had a chest, we can actually push to go ahead and retrieve the chest. Inside of it we get a mines key, which I'm not sure what it does just yet, but maybe we'll find out a little bit later. But we end up back outside anyway and move this pillar to the right, where we're able to collect these berries and see a chest over to the right, but we have to fight these monsters here, and we end up taking a little bit of damage, or everyone takes kind of like a little bit of damage, but we get angry. We end up getting 3 charges for Moonerang, and we just use that to try and finish off the enemies as quick as possible. Getting off some big Moonerang damage into a hit from Garl, and that ends the fight pretty nicely. We can then open up this chest and see what rewards we get for our troubles. Just another teal amber ore. We got a lot to sell when we remember to do so. We end up finding and entering another big cave, which has one of those big heads in it, so I guess we'll get some more air currents after we finish this fight. Starting this fight, it looks kind of scary. We've got 4 enemies we have to deal with, as well as that guy in the little cave there. But we end up cancelling the ant skill, healing up Zale halfway through the fight, and then taking out one of these drill bats near the entrance, which is a pretty good start to the fight. At this point, everyone's kind of half HP, and we charge up Valir to do big damage to the drill bat. We don't kill it, unfortunately. Now we're going to take some serious damage this next turn. At this point, we're in a really bad situation. We get a clutch block with Gale, which actually saves his life. But at this point, we had 2 combo meters. He was able to full heal the party, which clutches the fight there really nicely. And we get 3 charges on the Moonerang here, which allows us to take it out pretty easily. And I'll finish off the last guy with a sunball, and we're good to go. Following this air current and coming out on the other side actually drops this statue down, or the statue wall even, which releases this new little thing we can interact with, and this loads the statue so we can complete the puzzle finally. Once we're able to push the statue around, actually releases this other statue on the other side, which we can then push into position and use it as a ledge so we can get to a new area. We end up seeing more of this green stuff lying around in the cave, and we pick up these berries or whatnot on the right hand side, which is helpful for crafting. But yeah, continuing forward, we do see these 3 drill brats which we'll encounter and take down. Before that though, we're able to sneak past them and find a mushroom soup, which is super helpful, and we use the items that we have currently to heal up the party before we start the fight with these drill bats. Nothing too crazy happening with this fight, just 3 drill brats which we're able to take down quite easily. But the good thing is we get a nice level up for the party, which is awesome. We give Zale some magic attack, give Valir some extra mana points for more Moonerang casts of course, and then give Gale a little bit of defense. Diving further into the dungeon in hopes of finding more air currents, I guess. We end up finding one, and there's 4 enemies again like last time. We start out by cancelling the ant skill with Zale, which is a really good move, into a super nice Moonerang, taking out 2 of the ants, which is insane. Taking a little bit more damage here from this head thing. I need a name for it, to be honest. We get Gale to actually kill the drill bat in the end, which is nice. And again, we have enough for mending light, so we click that thing super fast, heal our entire team, and then the fight should be good from here. Valir getting the final hit on the enemy, really nice stuff. Going on our magical journey now through the tunnel, we end up seeing that this other pillar is revealed, which is pretty cool. So we go ahead and activate that, and this releases a ladder which takes us back up to the starting point actually, which is interesting. But now we have the power, we can use that to push this pillar in place. Now reaching the other side, looks like there's these 2 other pillars that we have to slot in correctly, and we're doing some thinking here because I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. One of them has to go in the right over here, and I assume that releases this bridge in the middle so we can push the other one into the other set or the other path. But yeah, we managed to actually figure it out kind of quickly. Push this up and then push that to the right. There we go, very nice stuff. And this one's ready in position and all good to go, so we can push this up here like this. Should be pretty simple from here, or maybe not. So after a quick brain fart, we end up figuring it out in the end. Takes some time, but we get there. And nice, we're able to activate this pillar here, which opens a door underneath, which we can now enter. We recognize that pet. Interesting. Are you Malcolmund? Valir says, and he's upset that we hurt his pet, so this doesn't look very good. We tell him his pet's terrorizing town, he's super upset, he's not happy, and off we go into the 3v2, I guess. We start off quite slow, deciding what to do best here. I opt for cancelling the pet spell, which we get 2 hits on him quite nicely and cancel 2 charges for reduced power. Malcolmund then ends up doing damage to Gale, and it hurts quite a lot if you don't block them, to be honest. But at this point, we could have charged up Valir and used her basic attack to cancel the skill, but I wasn't aware that the enhanced power actually activates on the attack, so we just do a regular Moonerang. The Moonerang doesn't actually do too much damage, but we use Zale to heal us up a little bit, and then we start the next turn with just some regular attacks. This allows us to get some more magic without magic and get some MP back for the team. Unfortunately, Zale drops super low at one point in the fight with some blows traded back and forth, and at this point we've let him charge up his skill again, which is a big mistake. This puts Zale in super critical condition. But we end the turn and we actually have enough combo meter again for the Mending Light. Thank you for this ability. It's saving our life so much, and everybody's pretty much full HP after that. Zale seems to be the focus quite a lot, so we heat him up with the remaining bit of his mana, and then we charge up Valir for an awesome Moonerang. Let's do a ton of damage hopefully. Alright, not bad at all. 77 damage on the pair and a little bit to Malcolm, but they end up transforming and now they're a duo. So not sure how this is going to go, but we need to cancel that skill or at least reduce the power as quickly as possible. We reduce the power a little bit, but it ends up doing massive damage to Gale here, which kind of sucks. At least it's only single target. They also now have this AoE attack with the tail, which doesn't do too much damage, but it hurts. A little bit dangerous. The tail damage does add up though, and we end up being in a really bad spot with the team, but we have another combo meter full for Mending Light, which we use again. Without this ability, I'm not sure how we would survive a lot of these fights, to be honest, but thankfully we have it. We then end up getting a new charge skill from the enemy and using a fully charged Moonerang into a hit from Zale, which actually cancels the charge and puts us in a super good spot. A lot of this part of the fight is just us using attacks, him hitting us with the tail, but a good thing is that they're combined, so they only have one turn per turn, I guess, rather than both of them using single turns on us. We charge up Zale here with 3 of the charge attacks, get the hit onto him, and that ends the fight. We then end up getting a conversation with Malcolm, who then explains to us that he has powers and people kind of don't like it, so they have a little bit of miscommunication, which is why he creates his own 4 and all this sort of thing, which causes trouble to the village. He agrees that he'll stop doing it and kind of work together with everybody, which is nice, so we end up with a positive resolution here, which is pretty good. We then end up focusing on our mission and we return back to the town to see if the lift works once more. These 4 are creepy. We don't know anything about them, but they seem to be planning something evil, which we'll find out soon.